Let's see. I'm predicting he killed Sniper a lot this game. 7. Probably should have killed him more or something. I think the Abyssal Blade here is wrong. Alright, well, I just feel like Abyssal Blade in general is such a dog shit item these days. It just sucks. Alright, here we go. Is he mid lane? Yeah. Okay, so on the mid lane, I don't know if you knew immediately that you're going to be mid lane already. But the 6 tangos isn't really a good item build for the mid lane. If possible, you want to get a couple tangos pooled to you and just fill your inventory with, like on a melee here, it's fine to go Quelling Blade, Stout Shield, but you want to just fill the rest of your inventory with stats, because you're not really, when you're farming creeps, you're not really that close to a tree, and you can, since you have courier priority, you can always just send yourself some more regen, like a salve or tango or whatever. So I'm sure this lane is pretty much fine for Phantom Assassin. You can sort of tank the right clicks from Dark Willow with levels in Blur, and if you use the Shadow Realm, it is called Shadow Realm, you can evade those attacks and you just don't take any damage from it at all. At any rate, I'd like to see you rushing an Aquila here. Having the, well, let me get rid of that. Having a raindrops right at 3 minutes is going to be a big boost to your survivability. So think about that against if you're laning against heroes that have nukes, or you anticipate people roaming on you who have nukes, which, you know, that might sound like, wow, do you really get raindrops every single game? Well, you know, if the nukes aren't that severe, or they're more like DOT based, then kinda, you can skip the raindrop at that point. So yeah, definitely in this lane get a raindrop ASAP. I would even think about getting against a Dark Willow, just getting a Hood of Defiance to just help survive. So you're mostly laning okay here. One thing that you could be doing is when the creeps are more on their side, you walk up to within like 500 range of the creeps, that you want to last hit. So, for instance, you could go like here, right click this guy and walk back to make your creeps follow you. And if you time it right, this is kind of more advanced, but if a creep is low and you time it right, you can prevent them from denying it and get the last hit yourself. And you can also make it more safe to just get the last hits by pulling the entire wave back and making them attack your range creep. Like, you can actually pull back your lane if you're pushing by using these aggro techniques. So just to be clear, I think the way it works, hold on, they changed it a while back. Let me pull up the wiki page. I think they changed the way it works a bit ago. Alright, so the aggroing the creeps has a 3-second cooldown. Okay. Yeah, so it has a 3-second cooldown and you have to be within 500 range. So what that means is, I'm not exactly sure if you need to be within the 500 range. Yeah, they decrease the range of aggro for the range creeps, just to help prevent the offlane pull. Answering the going to the moon guy's question, or statement, adding to it, not really an answer, whatever. At any rate, I think the way it works is you have to be within 500 range for 3 seconds before you can aggro them. I'll have to test this. Afterwards I'll test it. And then you can, every 3 seconds, aggro the creeps and pull them back. Let's find gank by Earthshaker there. Alright, so it's just the cooldown. Like, if you're doing it for the first time, for instance, then you can just walk into 500 and do it immediately. That's how I thought it worked. I think. That's how I thought it worked. Well, this one's really important to know. Like, knowing about creep aggro versus somebody who doesn't know about it or doesn't know about it very well can win you a lane that's normally unwinnable. Or can make you go even in a lane that's heavily favored in the opposite direction. And doing crazy shit like pulling a single creep just as it's about to die and last hitting it when the enemy normally would have got the auto attack and the auto attack was in the air. That kind of stuff really adds up. Definitely try to spam your dagger more on the enemy hero. You seem to be prioritizing using your dagger to last hit a bit too often. When, if you can force out the Shadow Realm, it can create an opening for you to go on the Dark Willow. But just in general, like once you get dagger up to level 2, instead of saving it just to last hit, you want to spam it on the enemy as much as possible. And try to do it from the fog. If they have a magic wand, try to do it from the fog so they don't get a charge, if possible. Like it's not worth it to like go out of your way and miss a last hit or something just to go into the fog and use dagger, but you know, that kind of stuff adds up as well. So I don't really like that you skipped quelling here. Or not quelling, I mean Aquila. I guess you'd have the CM aura. And you're definitely never pushing this tower. Alright, scratch that. I think it's somewhat fine to skip Aquila here, but it's just such a valuable item. It's hard to ever justify skipping it. Like, your condition for pushing this tower and doing damage to it is kind of difficult. You pretty much have to have an Aquila, not have a Dark Willow in the lane, and have a catapult, but if all those conditions line up, you're doing a lot of damage to the tower, especially with the Aquila. Plus it just gives you like 18 damage and quite a bit of attack speed. And I think a bit over 3 armor, which is always nice. I do like the treads here. I think treads overall are much better than phase boots now, with all the stat changes. Especially with the Battle Fury, the extra auto attack speed is really valuable. I don't know, forgive me if I'm not saying that much, but there's really not that much to say about this laning stage so far. You hit creep and you kill enemy when you can. So, yeah, they ganked the Willow, and he just, hasn't left lane for even 1 second. He's gotten, like, and Willow hasn't been denying or last hitting very well. Like, you can see the difference So, if anything in your laning stage, I think I already mentioned not relying on daggers so much to last hit and trying to use creep aggro instead to get those while spamming your dagger more. And you should definitely be prioritizing denies more. Like, instead of, well, there's a 4-level advantage, but instead of there being a 4-level advantage, there could be a 5-level advantage. There could be a 6-level advantage. And that is where the hood would have came in handy. I'm a really big fan of the hood in this particular game. They've just got so much magic damage on their team that, yeah, the hood. The raindrop as well. I think you just underestimated the amount of magical damage that they had, even with the supreme level advantage that you had. It was just, you just went down very, very easily. So, in a game like this where you're sort of snowballing, I wouldn't mind going, like, delaying the Battle Fury even, and just going for an earlier Desolator, just to be able to fight more, like put into Desolator into the Battle Fury, so you can, or maybe hood, yeah, hood into Desolator and into the BKB. Like, if you're just getting kills like this and you're getting a free farm lane, you probably have enough counters to the PL that you don't really need to go to the Battle Fury right away. I was going to say, well, Solid Tread, it doesn't even matter though because of the fucking Arcane Aura. So, Arcane Aura Perseverance. And you do have a Jug. What the fuck is this build on Jug? I was going to say, pretty much when you have two heroes on your team that can be one position heroes, like Phantom Assassin or Jug, you pretty much have to play it by ear and look at what the guy on your team is doing, like how greedy he's playing. So, since Jug isn't going for a Battle Fury, that makes it correct for you to go the Battle Fury. But if he was going the Battle Fury, then that means it's correct for you to go something like a Hood Deso. So you really want to play off what the other guy on your team is doing. And it doesn't really, like, just because you're mid or just because you're bottom, that doesn't mean you're the one position or the two position. It really just depends on, like, a game by game basis. Like, who's getting more farm in lane. Maybe you should go for the two position, and then the other guy catches up or something, or vice versa. It really depends on the heroes. Like, there's a lot of factors. So your decision to go Battle Fury, considering your Jug is going this frankly quite strange build, is absolutely correct. So what you definitely should be doing is just focusing on your own farm, getting kills when you can, of course. Like right there, it's just a free kill. Push out the lane, back up. You should prioritize farming the ancients. Since it's almost like farming a creep wave. Like it's pretty close to the gold of a creep wave, farming ancients. So what you can do is push out wave, farm this ancient, farm these camps, or even go like this back to the wave, and then farm this ancient too, to just try to maximize your farm. And that's what I would do if I was just like pushing out and farming the mid wave. But as the Battle Fury hero, you prefer to be on the enemy side of the map, pushing in this wave, applying pressure, getting map control and vision and everything, as well as putting pressure on their tower. And then when it's not safe to hit the tower or whatever, stack ancients a bit earlier too, especially if you're anticipating a Battle Fury. That's what the moon guy in the chat says, which is correct, but that's not necessarily on you as a carry player to stack your own ancients. But you know, it's at the same time, it's not necessarily not on you, you know. Like, if there's any downtime and it's close to stacking, you can become aware of that fact and use a dagger to stack the creeps. That's something you could do. So I don't like the way that you're just sitting around mid. And this is more of like a higher level concept that I don't really understand myself fully, but you pretty much, like, there's places you want to be, and there's good farm and there's bad farm. Like, there's places you want to be and places you don't want to be. And I would say, and I think we can all agree, a place you don't want to be is right next to your Juggernaut, farming a jungle camp in your own jungle right next to him. I think we can agree on that. So, if Jug is, like, you want your more survivable hero to go after the farm that's a little bit more unsafe, like this farm. So I would, if it was up to me, I would have Jug farming this camp, like spinning down the wave, backing off, clearing these camps, while you just get huge in your own jungle. This is a bit ambitious. Ooh. Very lucky. They should have killed you for sure there, but...
New message is received from Wayside Tech Phone.
Yeah, that was pretty much a shit show. And that is why you don't really want to be in your own jungle now, just because of how common it is for the enemy team to just be here. Like, this is more unsafe than this for you right now. With Pudge, Dark Willow, you know, whatever, what have you. You go for the Shadow Blade. I think I'm a big fan of Shadow Blade in general, but I don't know if it was correct this game. If you're playing more of a style when you're playing this side of the map and attack speed, I don't know, I just don't feel like Shadow Blade gives you more kill potential than you already have as Phantom Assassin, is my thought on the matter. Just because you're already pretty mobile with Phantom Strike. So, and you don't really, like the attack speed and the damage is good, are good stats on the Phantom Assassin, don't get me wrong. But I maybe would have preferred just going for like the SNY BKB here, really. If you're playing this Battle Fury style, just to tank up a bit and, you know, survive in these fights, as well as like going for the SNY BKB really can really help you snowball and really just be a monster and take fights. And you already have, like, you don't really have to worry about building attack speed on Phantom Assassin either, just because of Phantom Strike, which gives you bonus 130, which, you know, it's not the most attack speed in the entire world or anything, but it pretty much ensures that you can focus on building damage instead of attack speed, or building stats instead of attack speed. Or building Basher instead of attack speed. And it might actually be a Manta game even, because Dark Willow, if she puts Cursed Crown on you, you can purge it off. I don't know, it's not the best Manta game in the world. I think it's definitely good to go for a cheaper-ish item directly after that. It increases your presence in team fights and survivability. Something that you can go with the Battle Fury, and then you can get the next item right afterwards. And on a hero that you don't necessarily, that Shadow Blade really gives you a lot more kill potential on, I'd say Shadow Blade could be one of those cheaper-ish items, but I think SNY is easily that kind of item. What else? I'm kind of like answering questions. Are you the Phantom Assassin, by the way? Or are you somebody else? I'm kind of doubting that the exact player that I'm... Yeah, I didn't think you would be. So, I mean, you're asking good questions, so I'll answer them. After the Battle Fury, what are some good... Like, SNY is pretty much the best item that you can get directly after the Battle Fury. Just because it increases your stats so much in one item, and it has an excellent build-up. I'm just not really sure. Hello, Mod Goblin. Sorry, I haven't been paying attention. I guess you guys just killed them. I don't know. I just feel like these two items were kind of a waste here. Like the SNY BKB is like the standard sort of melee agi build right now, and for good reason. Like both of those items, like going for the Yasha after your Battle Fury helps you accelerate your farm to the potential Sange, helps you accelerate your farm to the potential BKB right after. They're just small items that make a big difference. We have a DD. No, they're not chosen randomly. I have a thread on a subreddit called r/learn-dota2, and I can link you the thread if you wish. I just go from the oldest post to the newest post, and if it's possible for me to look at the replay, I'll do it, and then after the stream I'll clip the individual games and upload them to YouTube and reply to the proper post or whatever. Now that I think about it, an item that you can go after Battle Fury if you're like more of a mana hungry hero. Oh yeah, the stream title, of course. I forgot what it was. I wouldn't necessarily say, like, in this particular game it's correct, but it's possible for a Lincoln Sphere directly after a Battle Fury to be the correct choice if you're more of a split push hero and you're worried about getting caught, but it would definitely not be good this game. So I definitely don't like Basher anymore. Like, the main guys you have to kill on their team, right, is the sniper as well as probably the Dark Willow after Shadow Realm gets used. And Dark Willow has an E-Blade to protect herself now. An E-Blade of all things. It makes a lot of sense, I guess. If you can get the E-Blade, you might as well, but it's kind of a late timing. Probably go for more survivability. So the sniper, his way to get away from you is to use the Hurricane Pike or potentially a Shadow Blade. So if it's the Shadow Blade, I mean, you can just, if you think about it, yeah, that's why you get the BKB. Like a standard Phantom Assassin build right now is Battle Fury, Treads, SNY, BKB into the Nullifier. And the Nullifier, effectively, if they don't have like skills that allow them to escape and they're itemizing to escape from you, then that's when the Nullifier comes in hot. And just, you blink strike, Stifling Dagger, Nullifier, and they just die. Yeah, it's a super good item. if you think back to the old days of Abyssal Blade, when it was made of a skull basher and a sacred relic, that's kind of how it. That's comparable stats, but instead of giving you a bit of strength, it gives you a bit of armor and a bit of regen. But I just feel like it's in a much better place than Abyssal is right now. Yep. And he's going for the 30-minute Battle Fury, which I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, if you just want SNY BKB into the nullifier, you'd have a lot more presence in these team fights. But it's 30 minutes and you don't have a BKB against immense amounts of, immense amounts of magic damage. So it's just pretty difficult, and you're about to get it up now. So I imagine what happens here and why you end up winning the game is, now that you have BKB, unless they eat you with Pudge in the fights, you just have free reign to go on this sniper and just dumpster him or something like that. I imagine the Necropho's late game ultimate is going to come in handy eventually. This guy's kind of like a creep right now, though. Look at his item build. Nothing to see there. So at this stage in the game, your main focus should be pushing out lanes. Because when you push out lanes, then you force them to react by pushing it back out. And that's especially when you're not getting a lot of vision down. And having these lanes pushed out also enables your supports to get vision down. But yeah, jungle camps are pretty much worthless at this point. I mean, you can get gold, sure, but what if you were up here pushing this lane in? Go on that sniper anytime now. Probably an unnecessary BKB there, but got the sniper kill. That's the most important thing. I went far too deep. Just gets destroyed. You're gonna get... You almost got stunned. Yeah, you backed up just in time. Phoenix does... He didn't go for the 60 Fire Spirits DPS. Huh. Doesn't go for the amplification, doesn't go for the DPS. Interesting. Like, he already does so much damage. If he had those talents as well, the amount of damage he'd be doing would just be off the charts. It's good that you showed up here. I'm sure you should be using Battle Fury, or BKB rather, and just turning. You lost like way too much HP just because you were being greedy with your BKB there. I'm surprised you haven't taken Roche yet this game. I don't know. Maybe I'm not surprised. Satanic. Number one thing about this Satanic is you gotta make sure that Pudge uses Spirit Vessel before you go in, or you have BKB and Satanic up at the same time, because if he uses the Spirit Vessel on you and you use Satanic, then you're just dying. Gotta watch out for that. At this point, I'm sure the correct play is to just go Roche. You opt for pressuring the tier 3, which is the real correct play. So what you want to do here is force them to come back. When they come back, if they're killable, you kill them. If not, you back up, go into the pit, collect your free Aegis. 39 minutes into the game, and Roshan still just has an Aegis. Probably prioritize Roshan a bit more, I'd say. I'm just gonna have it follow you. If I miss something, I'll rewind it, but I need to get something to drink.
Sounds like some very sound analysis there, gonna make tell. Yeah. Tell them.
Alright. Looks like I actually didn't miss anything. Oh, you took 8. No, you didn't take Roche. You just walked out of the pit. Classic. Oh man. He just dumpstered you with that Spirit Vessel. Aw. That's... I'm pretty sure if he doesn't use Spear Vessel on you there, you just kill everybody. Yeah, it's pretty common. You just need to focus objectives more. Like, imagine you had an Aegis there on your Jug or yourself or something. Yeah, and that is the weakness of Satanic in this patch, by the way. Pudge just handled you with it, with the Spear Vessel. Fast forward a bit. Just get a pick off on the Pudge, no big deal. Again, you're focusing a bit too much on jungle camps instead of getting to the next lane and pushing it out. You really need these lanes to be pushed out. For the additional map control. And you definitely should have been with your team there taking Roche. Aegis is probably best on you. I feel like sorry. I feel like your item this game actually isn't the Satanic, but it's in fact the Aegis. So, you guys get Aegis, you take a good fight. They don't have any buybacks, so there should be 2 racks. Let's see what ends up happening. Alright, you're going for the right thing. Right. Are you actually in the game? I don't think so. Take the shrine. Yeah, don't take... You're taking jungle camps instead of taking a shrine here. Watch out for that. At this point in the game, you pretty much, unless you're pushing out a wave, you want to be 5-man with your team, unless you're pushing out a wave with your team. Manned up on the egg without any attack speed. Yeah, you only have 330 out of the possible 650. It's unfortunate. sniper really didn't go for an MKB this game. It's pretty surprising. Shoving waves is the name of the game. Should be finishing your... You got more than enough gold here. You should be finishing your abyssal. Just go right here and finish it. Alright. Just one last Rex. Their ancient's exposed. All you need to do is... And you can even do this yourself. Get vision in this area. I think the Silver Edge would be okay pick up on the PL. Yeah, Silver Edge is fine this game. If you go on, like maybe something you didn't think about is Silver Edge against the Earthshaker. Because if you go on the Earthshaker with the Silver Edge and try to kill him, his enchant totem doesn't actually stun. And it looks like you guys actually did just take a fight in this area and in the game. But also against the Phantom Assassin, you can definitely burst her down with the Silver Edge, like if you have a +1 or something. It'd be fine. Alright. So, you definitely mostly didn't press your advantage enough. I think you itemized a bit wrong as well. The Satanic against the Spear Vessel is kind of a dog shit item because the Spear Vessel just destroys it. It becomes almost worthless over a heart. So, yeah, let's go on to the next one.